the gentle soul. Empaths are often described as the quiet heroes of human relationships. They are the ones who notice when a friend is pretending to be fine. They are the ones who can sense sadness behind a smile, or tension in a room that everyone else ignores. To be an empath is to live with the volume of human emotion turned up to its highest setting. And while this sensitivity can feel like a gift, it can also become a burden. To understand the empath, we must first look at the heart of their worldview. Empaths see love as a healing force. They believe that if people could just be understood, if they could just be heard, then pain would soften and wounds would close. In their eyes, love is not optional. It is the very thing that makes life worth living. This is where Erich Fromm enters the picture. Fromm, the German psychoanalyst and philosopher, spent his life studying the nature of love, freedom, and human existence. In his classic book, The Art of Loving, he made a profound statement. Love is the only sane and satisfactory answer to the problem of human existence. To Fromm, love was not a luxury, not a fleeting feeling, but a necessity for survival. Without it, human beings fall into despair, destructiveness, and isolation. For the empath, this truth doesn't have to be discovered through study. It is felt instinctively. They live as if Fromm's insight is carved into their very being. Every act of kindness, every sacrifice, every attempt to understand someone else is rooted in this belief. Love is the answer. But Fromm added an important warning. He wrote that love is not just a pleasant emotion. It is an art, a discipline, and a choice. To truly love requires strength, maturity, and independence. It requires patience, self-knowledge, and courage. And this is where the empath's story becomes complicated. Because while the empath gives love easily, they often forget one crucial part: to love themselves. In their pursuit of healing others, empaths may ignore their own needs. They stay up late listening to a troubled friend, even though their own body is exhausted. They forgive someone who has hurt them repeatedly because they cannot bear the thought of cutting someone off. They say yes when they want to say no, because they fear that setting boundaries makes them unkind. At first glance, this generosity looks noble. To outsiders, the empath seems saintly, always patient, always giving, always available. But beneath the surface, something dangerous is happening. Fromm explained that immature love says, "I love you because I need you." But mature love says, "I need you because I love you." In other words, real love must be rooted in freedom, not dependency. It must be chosen, not demanded. The empath, however, often gives in a way that allows others to depend on them without limits. They hope that their endless giving will eventually be enough, that the broken person will heal, the distant lover will return, or the angry friend will finally soften. They confuse sacrifice with love, forgetting that true love must flow both ways. And this is where the empath becomes vulnerable, because while they are pouring their heart into others, someone else is noticing, someone who does not see their kindness as sacred, but as an opportunity. This is the person who sees the empath not as a partner but as fuel, the one who recognizes that the empath's greatest strength, compassion, can be exploited. This person is the narcissist. The empath and the narcissist are drawn to each other almost magnetically. One gives endlessly, the other takes endlessly. At first it feels like balance. The empath believes they have finally found someone who truly needs them, while the narcissist believes they have finally found someone who will never stop giving. But Erich Fromm would immediately point out the flaw in this illusion. He argued that love cannot exist where there is domination. If one person is draining and the other is always sacrificing, what exists between them is not love but dependency, not devotion but control. The empath cannot see this at first. Their worldview tells them that love is about patience, sacrifice, and endurance. They think, if I just keep giving, if I just keep forgiving, eventually this person will change. But in reality, what they are doing is building chains around themselves, chains made of their own compassion. Fromm would call this a false form of love, a distortion. What looks like loyalty is actually fear. Fear of abandonment, fear of rejection, Fear of failing at the one thing empaths believe they were born to do, heal through love. And yet every chain eventually grows heavy. Every sacrifice begins to feel like a wound. Every overlooked betrayal becomes a scar. And though the empath doesn't know it yet, the very compassion that bound them to the narcissist will one day become the fire that sets them free. Because even the gentlest soul has a breaking point. In the early stages of the relationship between the empath and the narcissist, things often look deceptively beautiful. To the empath, the narcissist may appear charming, magnetic, and even vulnerable. Narcissists are skilled at creating an image, a version of themselves that seems confident yet misunderstood, powerful yet wounded. And empaths, with their natural desire to heal, are drawn to this like moths to a flame. At first, the empath believes they've found someone who finally understands them. The narcissist showers them with attention, compliments, and admiration. This is what many call the love bombing stage. To the empath, it feels like destiny. Finally, someone is reflecting back the depth of love they've been waiting to give. Finally, someone seems to need them just as much as they've always needed to be needed. But beneath this whirlwind of affection lies a dangerous imbalance. The empath is giving their heart sincerely, while the narcissist is crafting a performance. Erich Fromm, in his work on the psychology of love, warned about this very dynamic. He explained that real love can only exist between two free and equal individuals. When one person seeks to dominate, to control, or to extract value without giving in return, the relationship is no longer love, it is a form of exploitation. Fromm put it simply, love thrives only in freedom. Without freedom, it becomes bondage. This is the stage where the empath begins to confuse chains for commitment. The narcissist slowly and carefully begins to withdraw the intense affection they once offered. They replace it with criticism, control, or cold indifference. The empath, caught off guard, assumes they must have done something wrong. If I just give more, they think, if I forgive again, if I love harder, then surely they will return to the way they were in the beginning. But that beginning was an illusion. Fromm once wrote that immature love says, I love you because I need you. The narcissist embodies this perfectly. They do not love the empath as an individual. They love the supply, the attention, the validation the empath provides. And when that supply slows down, they punish. They manipulate. They withhold affection to keep control. The empath, trapped in their own devotion, accepts this treatment. They cannot stand the idea of abandoning someone who seems so broken beneath the surface. So they excuse the insults. They overlook the betrayals. They rationalize the neglect. To the empath, endurance feels like loyalty. But to the narcissist, endurance is permission. This is what Fromm would call a distortion of love. It is no longer rooted in freedom, equality, or respect. It has turned into dependency and fear. The empath has become so entangled in the narcissist's web that they cannot tell where love ends and self-destruction begins. Day by day, the empath begins to lose themselves. They stop pursuing their own dreams. They silence their opinions to avoid conflict. They shrink their needs so they do not seem too much. In doing so, they hand over pieces of their identity, piece by piece, until only fragments remain. And yet the empath stays. Why? Because in their heart, they believe love is meant to be patient. They believe people can change. They believe that walking away from someone who is hurting is the ultimate failure. Empaths often fear abandonment, but even more deeply, they fear abandoning someone else. Fromm, however, saw this as a tragic misunderstanding of what love truly is. He believed that love cannot be separated from respect. To truly love another, you must honor their freedom and your own. If you deny your own worth, if you sacrifice yourself completely, you are not practicing love, you are practicing dependency. The empath has not realized this yet. They mistake suffering for strength. They confuse being needed with being loved. And every day the chains grow tighter. But something else is happening beneath the surface. Each broken promise, each manipulation, each subtle cruelty is planting a seed. Resentment begins to grow, slowly but surely. The empath begins to question, is this really what love is supposed to feel like? Is devotion supposed to hurt this much? For now, the empath pushes those thoughts away. They double down on giving. They silence their doubts. They tell themselves that one more act of forgiveness, one more sacrifice will finally fix what is broken. But the truth is already unfolding. Love has turned into bondage. Compassion has become a leash. And though the empath cannot see it yet, the day is coming when those chains will snap, not with a scream, but with a silence that will shake the narcissist's entire world. Because even the most selfless heart eventually reaches its breaking point. And when it does, the empath who once gave without end will discover a new kind of strength, the kind that refuses to be controlled. Thank you for watching, and please don't forget to like and subscribe.